Hey there, I'm Steve, and welcome to Jamsin Entertainment. And welcome to the conversation. Just before we get started, there are many ways you can help. You can like and subscribe so you never miss a conversation. But most importantly, please share this video. Get the word out there as a community. We can talk about all the things that we love. Today on Throwback Thursday, we're looking at Rocky 2. Out of the first two Rockies, this is, well, so far out of the Rocky series, I know I haven't reviewed the rest of them, but I have seen them all except for Balboa. This is my favorite. And you really can take a look at the first Rocky and the second Rocky and see that as just one complete story, and everything beyond that is icing on the cake. This is my favorite Rocky movie because it just touches you so much more than the first one. The first one's a great underdog story. The second one's an even better underdog story because it's another slow burn, and again, that's not a negative. And this one, you see Rocky, he goes through a lot. Him and Adrian get married. I didn't really talk about her in the last one because I didn't want to give too much of the story away, but in this one, the stakes are much higher. They have a kid, but there's complications. The birth has complications because Rocky's having trouble finding a job after his fight, and he's kind of retired from it because Adrian wants him to stop fighting because, well, his right eye isn't working as well as the left eye, and he has a lot of brain damage, and they need to make ends meet somehow, and he can't find a job, and he can't hold down a job, not because of him, but he'll be laid off by a job. So she goes back to work at the pet store. It's strain on her body, so she delivers the baby prematurely, and due to her hemorrhaging from the stress of work and carrying a baby and also taking care of a house, a whole lot of stress for one person. In the meantime, Rocky is being called out by Apollo because Apollo is getting a lot of hate mail from former fans, or they're probably still fans that want to see him do better. I won't go into what all they're saying. It doesn't get too bad in the movie, but still, the fans are basically calling him out as like, why'd you fight a chump? The fight was rigged. You didn't give it your all, stuff like that, and it's really getting to Apollo. It's like Rocky is getting inside his head after the fact, even though he won the decision, and that's another thing the fans aren't fond of. He went 15 rounds with a nobody, and the fans, that's why they think it's a show fight, not a real fight. And so he goes after Rocky. He really wants to fight him again to prove that he is the champion of the world. But because Rocky's going through all this life business, Rocky's head isn't in the game. And Adrian doesn't want him to fight. And because she had complications delivering the baby, she goes into a coma, and he watches over for her. They don't really tell you how much time elapsed. You can kind of figure that it was about a week, maybe two. And in the meantime, he should be training for this fight, but the man's got a lot of heart. That's what makes this movie so great, because it's not just a boxing movie. It's a story of a man living his life and him going through it with the people that he loves, and he has the opportunity of a lifetime, a second time, to go for the World Boxing Championship. That's a lot for one person, just like it was a lot for Adrian to go through as well. And to see them go through it together is just beautiful. Fortunately, Adrian does wake up from the coma, and they see their son together. Rocky is still willing to not fight, especially after everything she's gone through and everything that they've gone through. But she surprises him. Shortly after she wakes up, she just tells him, I want you to win. The chemistry and the love that they show in this film is top notch. You really believe that they're in love. Now to the fight. I didn't mention this in the last one. I kind of talked a little bit about fighting. This is a very unpopular view I'm about to tell you, but from a technical standpoint, I'm going to be completely honest. Apollo is clearly the better fighter. Both movies, Rocky has horrible defense. He doesn't keep his hands up. Now, arguably, Apollo really doesn't either, and I think for the movie's sake, why Apollo and Rocky, well, they always show you that Rocky is not that good of a fighter. I mean, the first scene in the first movie is showing just how bad a fighter is, and the fact that he has to get angry, essentially, to become a better fighter. And I don't think they have their hands up properly like they should in the movies, just so they could see the actor's face better. They can see them emoting and all that stuff. So that's probably why they keep their hands down here, which is not where they're supposed to be. But Rocky's hands are really low. Now, if you watch boxing or MMA or Muay Thai, kickboxing, you will see fighters kind of lower their hands, and those are more confident fighters. Or they're just plain cocky because, I mean, yeah, you can be confident in your abilities and you can believe that your opponent is inferior to you, but that doesn't always work out. If you get too confident, you could lose because you let your guard down, literally and figuratively. As much as I love this movie, I can't help because of I don't have a fighting background, but I trained in a combative sport. Because of that background, I can't help but think and know that Apollo is the superior fighter. If this was real, there wouldn't have been a rematch. I'm sorry, unpopular view, but it's just true. Now, I say rematch. I didn't give the ending away for the first Rocky, just in case you haven't seen it, but you probably figured if you're watching this one, and for some reason you haven't watched the Rocky yet, you can imagine that Apollo won. I'm not going to give the ending away in this one, even though it's probably obvious. I mean, most people know the story of Rocky, seen it or not. I mean, people that are passionate about the Rocky movies, they'll tell you about it. I highly recommend that you get Rocky 1 and 2 on Blu-ray, 4K if you can find them. They're definitely worth that. I'm still holding on, if you should get the entire series, even though I love, the first 4 movies, the 5th movie. Most people are like, 5th movie is eh. I mean, partially that's why Stallone came back to do a 6th movie. But I'll withhold judgment for the entire series for now. If you have seen Rocky 2, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what you saw, like it. If you think other people like it, share it. If you really liked it, hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching and live your imagination.